The Mariners are 2-2. Garver is nowhere to be found, and our hitting seems to be completely lost. I don't understand exactly what is happening, but we can break down at least the goods and the positives, and maybe some of the negative and comparisons of what we probably would have got if we stuck with the same crew we had last year. Let's get into it.
Here we go. Center field, slicing away. Giddy up, baby!
Welcome back to everybody to the Touching Bases podcast. Good to see you. We are talking about dun Mariners, and basically some of their struggles and some of their strong suits and the things that were good, things that were bad in this opening week. Everybody's been kind of doing their own reviews and stuff, but I feel like we should dive a little bit deeper than just saying I feel like this is going to be good for them. Honestly, a lot of my predictions, my feelings about this opening week didn't come true at all, and I think that also happened for Joe and Colton. I was watching their predictions as far as Canzone. I was on board with Canzone. I don't know what happened. He's just gone now. His bat just disappeared. And I also had high hopes for Polanco. I mean, going to this opening series, being at home, I wanted to see what he could do in Seattle, and it didn't really pan out. But I'm going to kind of ignore Polanco because I want to give him a second chance. And he wasn't really replaced. He was added onto because we didn't really have a second baseman. You can say Jose Caballero, but yeah, I mean, we were hoping for a veteran to fill that spot since Cano has been gone for how many years? Starting with Garver, he's been out for 4 games already. He only played 1.5 games, 2 games, and he has back spasms. I understand they're going to be nice and easy on him and try to make sure he fully recovers, but how many games is he going to miss when he was already known to be a injury and health risk when we signed him, but we are only getting 2 games so far out of him? Like, wow, this would happen to the Mariners. I mean, let's be honest. Like, if there was something crazy stupid to happen, it would be this. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but I was really looking forward to seeing Mitch Garver play, and we haven't really gotten much of an update besides they're keeping a close eye. We haven't seen any improvements. We haven't heard any negative things either, so they're being hush-hush almost like their entire offseason. But we can compare and contrast. So obviously Kelenic left with a kind of a bitter taste in his mouth and went public with a lot of things. I did a video on him in his spring training where he actually ended his season with a 111 batting average. When I did the video, he had a .071 batting average in spring training. So to me, that was like a win-win because we got rid of his contract and then we got 2 guys that have Tommy John and they're not even going to play. So it was kind of like, hey, we just made cap space. So it was a win for the Mariners. Now we're looking at it. He's only had 8 play appearances. I get it's opening week, but in those 3 games, because he's sharing left field with Duvall, he's batting a .714, .750, and an .857 slugging percentage. Damn it. All of a sudden, his bat is awake. His swing is way different. His stride is shorter than it was last year. He's tightening things up, and I guess all that tinkering he did in the spring training where it didn't work, it's now working in Atlanta and never worked in Seattle, so it kind of sucks to see him playing well, considering now we have Luke Raley, and there's nothing against Luke Raley. I think he's good. He's fast. He's a big boy. He's got some power behind him. But Kelenic has yet to strike out so far this season. Now, hear me out. I'm releasing this today, and I know because I watched the Braves game today, he did pop out. So I know that his batting average has changed a little bit. I didn't watch the whole game, and these are the numbers I picked up this morning. So things have changed a little bit, but I'm talking about opening week. Luke Raley, on the other hand, he's slashing a 182, 182, 182. Across the board, 182. And he has a strikeout rate of 45.5%. Almost half the time he's striking out since we picked him up from the Rays. I understand it's a new place, it's cold, it's not Tampa, but maybe he needs to get a feel for it. It's just not a good start after having spring training to kind of get ready, where you saw Kelenic struggling and now he has a hot bat, and we're seeing basically no change from Raley coming out of spring training as he already had a slotted spot. Keep in mind, this is only 4 games and 11 plate appearances, but in 11 plate appearances, 182 is not looking too good. So hopefully his bat wakes up, but don't get me wrong, this is across the board. The entire team is struggling with batting. Maybe aside from JP, who is still striking out a lot, and then Mitch Haniger, who thank God is kind of hitting like he was in 2022, which I'm really hoping he can continue. But the guy he replaced would be Teoscar Hernandez. Just the other day against the Cardinals, he did choke with men on base and he struck out. It's kind of the typical him. He is striking out 46.2% of the time at this point during opening week. This is also including the sole career Korea games, which, you know, like there's more plate appearances. I believe there's 26 plate appearances that came out of that, but he is kind of hitting like he was in Toronto. He already has 3 home runs. He's batting a 250 with a 308 and a 708 slugging percentage. So he is getting the ball to pop off his bat. Now, I don't know if that's because he's in a warmer climate down in LA and it's more of a hitter's ballpark versus Seattle, but his strikeout rate, not really much of a change, but he is hitting more bombs with a consistent bat. And I mean, 250, it's not good. It's not like Mookie Betts, but he's still a power threat in that lineup. This is where we kind of get a win. This is where Mitch Haniger steps in. He kind of took over his spot. Granted, the whole team has been really cold with their bat this opening week. I was pretty disappointed to see them the way they were. The pitching looks amazing, but the batting is really sluggish. Haniger, out of 15 plate appearances already, he is batting a 286, 333, and a 571 slugging percentage. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a better batting average, but his slugging percentage is less, but he is hitting base hits. He is knocking in runs. Right now, he is the leader for the Mariners right now with 3 RBIs. Nobody else has 3 RBIs except for Mitch Haniger. So he is doing what he needs to do as a batting asset and is starting to look like 2022 if he can kind of keep this up, but we need the rest of the team to pick up the slack. So there is one positive to replacing Teoscar. Mitch Haniger is doing his job and doing his work. Would it be cool if we had more home runs? Yes. Is Safeco hard to hit home runs in? Yes. So kudos to you. Hat tip. You're good. The downside, only 1 home run out of those 3 RBIs that he's hit in. Granted, there's only been 10 runs scored by the Mariners in opening week, and his strikeout rate is still 40%. Still less than Teoscar by 6.1%, but still 40% is not a strikeout rate that we want. We were trying to eliminate strikeouts, and it seems like the numbers have gone up. Suarez went over to the Diamondbacks. Now, this is kind of predictable. Again, better climate. He was hitting well in Arizona during spring training. Now he's staying in Arizona, in Phoenix. He's got a great stadium to hit balls out of the ballpark. It's a good setting for him, and he's kind of showing it now that we get into the regular season. In opening week, now, I understand you guys as the Rockies. Don't get too mad at me, but if you're a Rockies fan, it's brutal. You guys are a T-ball team compared to everybody else at this point. It's I feel bad for the players, and I don't know what's up with Nolan Jones. He already has like the most errors in the outfield, and it's only been like 3 games. Suarez is slashing a 429, 438, and a 643 in 16 plate appearances with 1 home run and 4 RBIs. Oh, his strikeout rate, 12%. I understand. Opening week, it's only 1 week, it's only 3 or 4 games, but still 12% strikeout rate is a really hot start for him, and he's getting on base and hitting people in, and he's hitting bombs. He hit a home run already in the first week, so his power's still there. I think he found an excellent fit for him. It sucks for the Mariners because now we're going back and forth between Urias and Rojas is definitely going to be the lighter side of things, and I don't even want to touch on Urias. Problem with him coming to spring training out of shape, then all of a sudden the second game he's injured. I'm not too happy with this guy just as a fan, and on top of that, he hasn't even gotten a hit in the opening week. So out of 4 games, he's had no hits, and his strikeout percentage is 50%. So if he does hit the ball, he gets out, and then the other half of the time he goes up to the plate, he strikes out. Honestly, I think he needs more AAA time. He was out for a whole season. He came back, now he's playing in the bigs, where he re-injured himself in another way. Send him down to AAA. Let Rojas just be the full-time third baseman. Why do we need to platoon him? Because obviously he's not doing what he's supposed to. Let him prove himself in AAA with the Rainiers, with a lot of other players that we're expecting to come up that can play infield and bat really well. Ryan Bliss or anybody else if we want to look at the infield, and let Rojas expand and grow because he's the only other one that's been hitting really well. He's batting a 500 across the board. All slashes are 500. He has 1 RBI, so he's playing a part at least in that 10 runs that have been scored over the course of the last 4 games. Besides the lack of a home run, he's doing better in most ways than Gino Suarez. So give the position of third base to Rojas. That's all I'm saying. Send Urias down. We already got him. We signed his contract. He's already on the team. Develop him. Get him back on track. Get him on an exercise routine. Whatever's happening right now is not working. I don't know if it's his lean back thing that doesn't work, but fix something, because this is not a hot start for the Mariners. I mean, granted, I understand it's 2-2. The Mariners are always slow in the beginning of the season. It is much colder here. The marine layer is hazardous when it comes to baseball players. The last few games have been almost 70 degrees. So there really isn't much of an excuse for this first series to say that it's weather related or just location or just how the Mariners are. I know they'll get better, but we need to start off strong if we're going to be able to make the playoffs, because every single year we get hot, but it's always too late. Moving over to pitching, I want to look positive. Austin Voth, whatever you want to call him. I call him Voth, everybody says Voth, but pretty good, dude. Like really good. I'm just saying, we lost Brash and Santos due to injuries, and that was part of our trifecta that we were really looking forward to. As far as our bullpen goes, he's only pitched in 2 games, only for 1 inning, but he came through in those 1 inning that we really needed him. He hasn't given up a run yet. His average K per 9 is 18 at this point. Small sample size, but when we need him, he's performing excellent. And then also on the other side, his side guy, Gabe Spears. He's doing really well with handling batters when he's called upon. He's doing exactly what he should do, and they're both doing kind of this duo where they're taking the place of Brash and Santos. So when they do come back, you are starting to look at more of an elite bullpen that's not only 3 but possibly 5 that you can line up with. Munoz also very excellent, hard throwing, and he's getting the ball across the plate, and it's a good thing to watch. I'm really happy with Munoz the way he's been pitching. Stanek and Thornton, not so much. Stanek has been having trouble locating his pitches, way too high, way outside. He just wasn't locating even with his fastball. But if he can, obviously he has a very strong arm, and that hitting hundreds, 101 mile-an-hour fastballs is very hard for these guys, especially in Seattle, but he needs to locate. So I think that's a small correction he needs to make that will be fine. He didn't really give up a crazy amount of runs, but he did walk some guys. Thornton, on the other hand, they're kind of hitting T-balls off of him. He almost blew the game where we went into extra innings. Thank God Julio had his first walk-off base hit and add that to his career stats, but Thornton almost blew that game, and he didn't exactly do too well the next inning. He got out of a jam, but it was not looking good. As far as everybody worrying about Miller, I understand he gave up 4 runs, but just chill. Like, 2 guys got on, that was no big deal, and then one of the pitch right before Valdez hit that home run, to me that was a strike, but whatever, and that should have been the end of it. But Meatball was served up on the next pitch. It was a 1 mistake. It just blew the game open 4-1. So it is what it is, but his splitter was looking nasty. And if you want to look at his stats so far, just in the innings that he has pitched, first 2 innings, he mostly worked with his split finger, that new pitch, and it was insanely good. I mean, just statistically, his whiff rate was 38.1%, and he's already at a 27% K rate. And this is just for the first game that he's played. The splitter was an averaging 39.5 inch drop. Now, if you guys don't know the nerd details of that, that is 2.4 inches more than the average splitter in baseball, which puts him in the highest percentile for the most nasty split finger fastball you can possibly throw. And he just started throwing it. So don't worry about him. Chill. He'll do fine the next outing. I have no concerns when it comes to Bryce Miller. The last thing I can touch on is people were complaining about the umpire calls. I don't think I agree with going full robots and just letting them take over the game. I know Robbie High mentioned this, and I think he's doing it sarcastically, so I won't, dime him out or anything like that. But it is frustrating when we can't get the calls right, and sometimes when the home plate umpires is calling balls and strikes that are way out of the zone, or calling a ball that is right there in the strike zone or right down the middle, it is frustrating. Now, I know in AAA that they give them a certain amount of chances to contest balls and strikes, which growing up for me, you can't argue balls and strikes, you'll get ejected or whatever. But I mean, it wouldn't be a bad change if we gave them 5 chances to argue a ball or strike and maybe get the correct call. That way the effort they're putting in and the way they're performing actually counts if it's good, and negative if it's bad. I think that'll help a lot of these games and gives the right calls to those who deserve it, if that makes any sense. So no, I don't think we need to go to Robos. Maybe we should start introducing the pitch review, but I also have to ask, like, how accurate are these systems? When I was watching the Braves today playing, the broadcasters mentioned that their system read that it was a fastball that was thrown at like 92 miles an hour. Well, that was their StatCast system reading a pitch, but it was clearly a splitter that was thrown there, and it was way slower. So I don't think a robot would be the best one to go with, because they're supposed to be perfect and we're supposed to trust them, when even today in a game it was not accurate at all. That's all I have for you guys today. Please leave a comment below, like, subscribe, and share the video if you're a Mariners fan. If you are from Seattle, I would love to have your support, and we're building this entire channel. I think we made it to 400, so I do appreciate you guys' support, and also everybody who leaves a comment that's super nasty and rude and mean. It's entertaining. Thank you as well. I hope you join the community. We can continue this, maybe get on the same page later.